common right now to find somebody who has paid maybe $60,000 or $65,000 for a very high-end pickup truck. Well, even the average pickup truck now is going to be crossing over that $50,000 barrier.
You trusted the brand. You paid for the power. But now your truck's in the shop, and you're not alone. Across the US, mechanics are seeing the same pattern. Pickup trucks that seem solid until mile 30,001. Sudden oil leaks, hybrid failures, sensor chaos. Some problems are so bad, they total engines. From legendary names to flashy newcomers, these 20 trucks are quietly failing, and no one's telling buyers why. Is it emissions tech, overcomplicated software, or something deeper? We tracked down the real stories from mechanics, owners, and insiders. Because if you're about to hit 30,000 miles, you deserve to know what's coming. And if you already passed it, this list might explain what's happening under your hood. Nissan Titan XD. When Nissan unveiled the Titan XD, it was pitched as the perfect middle ground between a half-ton and a three-quarter-ton truck. It looked like a smart play, bold styling, a powerful Cummins turbo diesel engine, and a workhorse attitude. But under the rugged exterior, something troubling lurked. Owners who expected a reliable long-haul diesel quickly ran into serious problems, many of which started surfacing just after the 30,000-mile mark. Turbocharger failures, DF system malfunctions, and unpredictable emissions sensor faults have sent many of these trucks straight from the job site to the repair shop. The complexity of the emissions equipment made even routine maintenance costly and slow. Dealerships often struggled to diagnose issues, leaving drivers without their truck for weeks. The Titan XD had all the potential in the world, but it couldn't deliver consistency when it mattered most. What's more, resale values began to plummet as more and more issues piled up. This was a case of big promises and even bigger letdowns. Stick around. What looks like a smart midsize move from General Motors ended up being a high-priced tech headache you'll want to avoid. Chevrolet Colorado. Praised early on for its balance of midsize practicality and modern styling, the Chevrolet Colorado appeared to be a confident choice for truck buyers who wanted capability without the bulk of a full size. With its sleek design, optional diesel engine, and urban-friendly proportions, it carved out a solid spot in the market. But beneath that fresh sheet metal, trouble was quietly building, and it often surfaced right after crossing the 30,000-mile mark. Owners started noticing persistent electrical glitches, especially in models equipped with advanced infotainment systems. Backup cameras froze mid-drive, touchscreen systems crashed unexpectedly, and dashboard warnings blinked on without cause. Worse yet, battery drain became a known issue, often traced back to faulty control modules. Cold weather owners faced additional headaches with climate controls that malfunctioned, making winter mornings a true endurance test. Although it shared a platform with the GMC Canyon, the Colorado's lower price tag didn't shield it from reliability concerns. So while it may have been designed for balance, the Colorado ultimately tipped in the wrong direction. We're dialing up the shock factor because even a trusted Japanese icon stumbled hard when it tried to reinvent its flagship truck. If you've made it this far, you're clearly serious about making smart choices. So hit that like button to help more drivers find this list, and drop a comment below if your truck has let you down too soon. We're watching the replies, and your story could help someone avoid a 5-figure repair bill. Toyota Tundra. It was supposed to be the triumphant return of a legend. After more than a dozen years without a full redesign, Toyota finally unveiled the all-new Tundra in the model year 2022. The excitement was real. Out went the dependable V8, and in came a twin-turbocharged V6, complete with an available hybrid system and a massive 14-inch touchscreen display. On paper, it had everything buyers wanted: more power, better fuel economy, and tech that could rival any competitor. But once drivers got behind the wheel, a very different story unfolded. Within the first few months of ownership, early adopters began reporting catastrophic turbocharger failures, engine shutdowns, and hybrid systems overheating in warmer climates. Infotainment systems frequently froze or rebooted, and some owners dealt with panel misalignments, paint flaking, and even leaky roofs during heavy rain. Toyota's once pristine reliability rating took a massive hit. Consumer satisfaction plummeted, and resale values quickly reflected the damage. The Tundra's bold leap into the future ended with a stumble, and loyalists were left stunned. Rewind the clock. Our next truck clung to the past for far too long, and owners paid the price for that stubbornness. Nissan Frontier. Sometimes, sticking with the same design for too long becomes more of a curse than a blessing. The second generation of the Nissan Frontier remained virtually unchanged from the model year 2005 all the way through the model year 2021, a stretch of over 16 years. While that may sound like a testament to a solid platform, mechanics and owners know better. Beneath its aging exterior, the Frontier was hiding one of the most notorious mechanical time bombs in pickup truck history. The most infamous issue was what technicians dubbed the strawberry milkshake of death. A failed radiator allowed coolant to mix with automatic transmission fluid, destroying gearboxes and stranding drivers, often just past the 30,000-mile milestone. Manual versions were no safer, with frequent clutch failures under light to moderate loads. Timing chain guide wear produced whining noises and threatened engine longevity. Fuel sending units failed, dashboard gauges gave false readings, and rust devoured the underbody in cold weather regions. What was once marketed as a no-frills workhorse turned into an expensive liability. We've seen what happens when old designs overstay their welcome. Now let's see what happens when new tech hits the road too soon. Ford F-150 PowerBoost Hybrid. Bold innovation comes with bold risks, and the Ford F-150 PowerBoost Hybrid was a shining example of both. Introduced as part of Ford's electrification strategy, this hybrid pickup combined a twin-turbocharged V6 engine with an electric motor, delivering impressive power and advertised fuel efficiency. With 430 horsepower and 570 pound-feet of torque, it promised to be the future of full-size trucking. But for many owners, that future arrived with flashing warning lights and frustrating repair bills, often right after 30,000 miles. Drivers reported a range of problems, from erratic transmission behavior to complete electrical shutdowns linked to the hybrid battery system. Harsh downshifts, delayed acceleration, and random hesitation made towing unpredictable and driving unsettling. The 10-speed hybrid transmission added complexity, while real-world fuel economy fell short of the 24 miles per gallon promise, averaging closer to 20. Diagnostics became a nightmare, with control module failures often requiring weeks to resolve. Ford rolled out software patches, but for many, the damage was already done. If you think paying more guarantees fewer problems, this next midsize upgrade will definitely make you think twice. GMC Canyon. Marketed as a more refined alternative to its platform sibling, the Chevrolet Colorado, the GMC Canyon entered the scene aiming to bring a premium feel to the mid-size truck category. With higher pricing, sleeker aesthetics, and a badge associated with professional-grade toughness, it was supposed to offer a step up in both quality and reliability. But in practice, many owners discovered that the Canyon's polish was only skin-deep. Beneath the surface, issues started cropping up well before 40,000 miles, and in many cases, as early as 30,000. Drivers reported recurring battery drain problems, which were often traced to faulty control modules that continued to draw power even after the vehicle was turned off. This left many trucks dead overnight, creating frustration for owners who depended on them for daily driving. Climate control systems were also unreliable, especially in colder climates where faulty sensors made defrosting a gamble, infotainment systems rebooted without warning, and backup cameras froze during use. The diesel version brought emissions complications and high maintenance costs. Brace yourself, we're heading into full-size territory where things get rough, and not in the off-road kind of way. Chevrolet Silverado. 1500. Chevrolet's Silverado 1500 has long been one of America's best-selling pickup trucks, backed by big advertising campaigns and a reputation for blue-collar dependability. But for model years spanning from 2014 through 2021, that dependable image started to crack, and the problems weren't subtle. Underneath its bold grille and chrome accents, drivers began experiencing serious mechanical failures that often struck just after the 30,000-mile mark, catching owners off guard and turning loyal fans into frustrated repair customers. The most infamous issue plaguing this generation was the lifter collapse epidemic tied to the active fuel management system. Designed to deactivate cylinders for better fuel economy, the system backfired when faulty lifters triggered misfires, broken valve trains, and even full engine replacements in extreme cases. repair bills regularly climbed over $5,000, with failures occurring as early as 40,000 miles. As if that weren't enough, many Silverado owners also encountered the dreaded Chevy shake, a violent vibration between 45 and 65 miles per hour that dealerships struggled to diagnose. From gasoline misfires to diesel disasters, our next entry proves that being efficient doesn't always mean being dependable. Ram 1500 Ecco Diesel. Not every efficiency upgrade is a win. When Ram introduced the 1500 Ecco Diesel in the model year 2014, it was billed as a game changer, combining diesel torque with impressive miles per gallon ratings. It quickly grabbed headlines and earned praise for delivering both power and fuel savings in a full-size package. However, beneath the hype was an engine that mechanics now say was doomed from the start. By the 30,000-mile mark, owners began noticing symptoms that led to severe and expensive problems. One of the most common issues was oil contamination caused by internal coolant leaks. This led to oil dilution, triggered low-pressure warnings, and ultimately caused total engine failure in some cases. Other failures involved the cam gear slipping just enough to throw off the timing, leading to catastrophic valve collisions. The exhaust gas recirculation cooler also became notorious for cracking and dumping coolant into the intake, creating thick white smoke and overheated engines. Despite some quiet buybacks from the manufacturer, no official recall was issued. Some legends should have stayed in the past. Our next mid-size reboot couldn't quite recapture the magic. Ford Ranger. Bringing back an old name doesn't always guarantee new success. When Ford revived the Ranger for the model year 2019, many longtime fans were eager to get behind the wheel. It promised turbocharged performance in a mid-sized frame, wrapped in modern tech and aggressive styling. But the excitement began to fade as drivers reached the 30,000-mile milestone and ran into a wave of performance and reliability complaints that couldn't be ignored. At the heart of the issue was the 10-speed automatic transmission, which developed a reputation for hard shifts, delayed response, and inconsistent performance under load. Turbo lag frustrated drivers during acceleration, and occasional stalling raised safety concerns, especially during highway merging. In colder climates, sensors within the drivetrain acted unpredictably, leading to traction control malfunctions and false warning lights. The powertrain's complexity made diagnostics slow and frustrating, and some owners reported repeated visits to the dealership without lasting fixes. Even the interior saw early signs of wear, from peeling trim to loose panels. Luxury badges might look sharp in the driveway, but our next pickup proves they can't hide what's happening under the hood. Honda Ridgeline. Blending car-like comfort with pickup utility sounds great, until you actually start putting in the work. The Honda Ridgeline, produced from the model year 2017 through 2021, aimed to disrupt the truck market with a unibody design, independent rear suspension, and smooth on-road performance. It delivered a quieter ride and better fuel economy than most of its body-on-frame competitors, and for suburban drivers hauling mulch or bicycles, it seemed like the perfect match. But after crossing the 30,000-mile mark, many owners began to uncover the real cost of comfort-first engineering. The Ridgeline's all-wheel drive system, though clever in design, began experiencing early wear in real-world conditions, particularly in snowy regions or off-road terrain. Transmission hesitation and slipping were reported even under moderate use, and replacement costs were steep due to the unique drivetrain layout. The V6 engine, while generally reliable, developed oil leaks around gaskets and seals far earlier than expected. Interior electronics also started failing, with infotainment glitches, faulty backup cameras, and power window issues piling up fast. Time to go big. Our next heavy-duty beast had the muscle, but couldn't handle the long haul without breaking down. Ram 2500. For those who need serious pulling power, the Ram 2500 looks like a beast built for battle. With its aggressive stance, Cummins turbo diesel options, and torque ratings that could tow a small house, it gained massive popularity among contractors, ranchers, and off-road enthusiasts. But for all its muscle and road presence, something else has been lurking beneath the surface. Issues that begin to creep in not long after the 30,000-mile milestone and accelerate with every passing mile. One of the most notorious problems with this generation is front-end wobble, commonly referred to by mechanics as the death wobble. Drivers reported violent shaking at highway speeds, typically after hitting bumps or uneven pavement. The issue is often linked to worn-out suspension components, steering linkage, and track bars. Electrical gremlins also plagued this model. Instrument clusters malfunctioned, warning lights flashed randomly, and batteries drained overnight without explanation. Transmission reliability varied wildly, especially under heavy loads, leaving towing jobs unfinished and owners facing sky-high repairs. From big power to big problems, this Ram proved that torque isn't everything. Looking for premium power? Our next full-size truck offered the badge and the price tag, but couldn't outrun its budget brand problems. GMC Sierra, 1500. When you're paying more for a badge that promises professional grade, you expect to get more than just chrome trim and a leather-wrapped steering wheel. The GMC Sierra 1500, spanning model years from 2014 through 2021, was marketed as the upscale sibling to the Chevrolet Silverado. Buyers hoped they were getting better quality, but many found out the hard way that they were simply paying more for the same persistent problems, some of which kicked in right after 30,000 miles. The most widespread mechanical issue was tied to the active fuel management system. Faulty lifters would collapse, causing engine misfires that often escalated into complete valve train destruction. These failures routinely led to repairs exceeding $5,000, with some trucks requiring full engine replacements before reaching 60,000 miles. The infamous Chevy Shake also haunted Sierra owners, with unexplained vibrations between 45 and 65 miles per hour. Add to that a clunky 8-speed automatic transmission known for hard shifts and torque converter failures, and you've got a recipe for costly frustration. One of America's most iconic trucks takes center stage next, and it's got an appetite for oil you won't believe. Ford F-150, 5.0-liter V8. Even legends can stumble, and the Ford F-150 powered by the 5.0-liter V8 engine from model years 2018 through 2020 is proof of that. For decades, this truck has been the go-to workhorse across America, hauling loads, towing trailers, and cruising highways with confidence. The 5.0 was meant to be a nod to old-school power paired with modern technology. But for many owners, the problems began to surface just past 30,000 miles, bringing with them more questions than answers. The most troubling issue with this particular setup was excessive oil consumption. Drivers were frequently adding quarts between oil changes, some as often as every 1,000 miles. Ford issued technical service bulletins to address it, but fixes varied in effectiveness. Cam phaser problems also became a recurring headache, causing cold start rattles and, in some cases, long-term engine damage. Timing issues compounded the frustration, with repair costs reaching thousands. For a truck that carried the weight of legacy, this version fell short when dependability mattered most. Downsizing doesn't always mean fewer problems. Our next compact classic has plenty of age and even more issues. Chevrolet S10. Back in the day, the Chevrolet S10 was the compact pickup that seemed to do it all. Easy to park, cheap to own, and tough enough for light hauling or weekend projects. From model years 1998 through 2004, it carved out a loyal following among budget-conscious drivers who didn't need a full-size rig. But while the S10 had charm and practicality in its favor, time hasn't been kind to these trucks, and problems often start appearing right around the 30,000-mile mark, especially on neglected or lightly used examples. One of the most common and costly issues is transmission failure. Both manual and automatic versions have been known to slip, jerk, or fail entirely under light to moderate loads. Fuel pumps fail more often than they should, leaving owners stranded with no warning. Electrical issues plague older models, from dead gauges to failing ignition switches. Rust is another notorious enemy. Frames, brake lines, and cab corners disintegrate faster than industry norms, especially in cold weather states. From budget-friendly to badge-boosted, our next contender wore a luxury nameplate, but hid serious trouble under the hood. Toyota Tacoma. Some trucks build reputations that seem untouchable, and for years the Toyota Tacoma was one of them. Known for its rugged simplicity and legendary dependability, the Tacoma earned praise from off-roaders, tradesmen, and weekend warriors alike. But between the model years 2016 through 2021, the tide began to turn. Though it still sold in big numbers, owners started reporting serious concerns, many of which emerged shortly after the 30,000-mile mark and caught even loyal Toyota fans off guard. One of the most frustrating issues with the Toyota Tacoma was the 6-speed automatic transmission, which caused hesitation, rough shifts, and inconsistent throttle response. Software updates didn't fix it for everyone. Early differential wear led to howling sounds, while premature frame rust remained a problem. Faulty oxygen sensors and emissions components triggered persistent check engine lights in many affected trucks. We're headed upscale once again, this time with a truck that looked classy but couldn't outrun its mechanical nightmares. Lincoln Mark LT. Every now and then, a manufacturer tries to blend utility with luxury, but the execution doesn't always hit the mark. Enter the Lincoln Mark LT, produced from model years 2006 through 2008. Based on the Ford F-150 platform, this luxury pickup was supposed to deliver high-end comfort without sacrificing everyday capability. It offered plush leather interiors, wood grain trim, chrome detailing, and a premium badge that aimed to stand tall next to Cadillac's upscale Escalade EXT. But after 30,000 miles, the Lincoln Mark LT's shine started to wear off fast. The 5.4-liter 3-valve V8 engine was notorious for spark plug blowouts and cam phaser failures, causing misfires, ticking, and hard starts. Transmission issues and early suspension wear added to repair costs. Limited production meant scarce parts, making the Lincoln Mark LT expensive and unreliable, despite its luxury branding. Big diesel dreams met hard reality. Our next entry gave drivers torque, trouble, and $10,000 repairs. Ford Superduty 6.4-liter Power Stroke. If brute strength was the only requirement, the Ford Superduty equipped with the 6.4-liter Power Stroke diesel engine would have been a king among trucks. Built for the model years 2008 through 2010, this powerhouse offered massive torque and strong towing credentials. It quickly became a favorite among diesel fans who needed to haul heavy loads and expected long-term durability. But that promise of reliability began to unravel right after the 30,000-mile milestone, with failures that were as expensive as they were devastating. The 6.4-liter Power Stroke engine suffered from major design flaws, including cracked pistons, leaking exhaust gas recirculation coolers, and oil dilution from fuel contamination. Turbo failures, overheating, and head gasket issues were common. Even after spending over $10,000 on upgrades, many trucks still experienced breakdowns. Ready for a blast from the past? Our next mid-size truck had the muscle, but absolutely none of the stamina. Dodge Dakota. Mid-size muscle with full-size problems. That's what many owners came to realize after owning the Dodge Dakota from model years 2000 through 2011. It was designed to be the go-between option, bigger than compact pickups but smaller than a full-size Ram. With available V8 power, aggressive styling, and multiple cab configurations, the Dakota looked like a workhorse ready for anything. But once drivers crossed the 30,000-mile threshold, it became clear that this truck had more bark than bite. Transmission failures were common in automatic Dodge Dakota models, with slipping gears, delayed shifts, and sudden breakdowns. Manual versions suffered from clutch issues before 50,000 miles. Premature suspension wear caused steering trouble, while electrical faults and sensor failures increased owner frustration. Rust plagued frames and underbodies, especially in northern climates. It looked versatile, it sounded practical, but our next truck had more warning lights than miles on the odometer. Chevrolet Avalanche. At first glance, the Chevrolet Avalanche seemed like the ultimate multi-tool of the truck world. With its innovative midgate design, full-size capability, and SUV-like comfort, it blurred the lines between a family cruiser and a rugged hauler. Produced from model years 2007 through 2013, this second-generation Avalanche was a bold attempt to offer flexibility and function in one package. But as many owners discovered after passing the 30,000-mile mark, that versatility came at a serious cost, especially when reliability entered the picture. One of the most frustrating issues involved electrical failures. The body control module became a common failure point, causing warning lights to flicker, gauges to fail, and accessories to malfunction without warning. The active fuel management system, meant to improve fuel efficiency by shutting down cylinders, was known for lifter failures that led to engine damage and expensive repairs. Suspension components, including the air ride system on higher trims, often failed prematurely. Paint quality and rust resistance also suffered, with many avalanches developing bubbling panels before 70,000 miles. We're wrapping it up with a compact pickup that exploded in popularity, then just plain exploded. We're down to the final truck, but the conversation doesn't stop here. If you want more no-nonsense breakdowns and mechanic-backed truths on the vehicles you trust, hit that subscribe button now. We're digging deeper every week, and staying subscribed means you'll always know what to drive, what to dodge, and what's really worth your money. Ford Maverick. Sometimes the smallest truck carries the biggest surprise, and not in a good way. The Ford Maverick, launched in the model year 2022, was celebrated as the return of the truly affordable pickup. With car-like handling, a starting price under $30,000, and a fuel-sipping hybrid option, it quickly captured the attention of budget-conscious drivers and city dwellers alike. But beneath the headlines and early praise, a growing number of owners found out that trouble often arrived just after crossing the 30,000-mile line. One of the most widespread complaints came from the hybrid models, where battery-related issues triggered warning lights, sudden power loss, and in some cases, complete shutdowns. Software glitches affected the infotainment system, climate controls, and even basic functions like lighting. Brake systems were not immune either. Some drivers experienced premature wear or spongy pedal feel long before expected. Fit and finish problems, including rattling trim and loose panels, added to the frustration. Even though it was designed to be a practical daily driver, the Maverick's early reliability record tells a different story. And there you have it, 20 trucks that may look strong, but start failing before the real miles even begin. If you value your truck, your time, and your wallet, subscribe now. More truth, fewer breakdowns. Stay ahead, stay smart, and drive with confidence every mile.